Hey, welcome to the Danielle Strickland podcast. I am so excited about launching this new season in partnership with World Vision. I cannot even contain it. I am so excited as I've been working on this with World Vision over the last couple months. Man, I have just felt God and learned and listened in ways that I have never before. And I think in these times in which we find ourselves, there's some stuff going on. Our worlds are being turned upside down. And, we've been taught our whole entire life that upward ascension is the path that we're supposed to go. We're supposed to succeed. Everything's supposed to get better and better and bigger and bigger. And we're on this ascension path. And then, of course, we run into the person of Jesus, who is descending according to the scriptures. That's part of his nature he's leaving this heaven and he's descending into the human condition. And Jesus himself, as the most revolutionary leader of all time, gave us his manifesto in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 5. It's the Beatitudes. And they have mystified, invited, they have made curious people even more curious. They have turned what we thought was right side up, upside down, the world. But then also those who have followed and leaned into the teachings and the person of Jesus have found that what they thought was upside down was actually right side up. And the way that Jesus invites us to follow and to value and to understand and to encounter is revolutionary. And he calls this a blessed life. What does it mean to live a blessed life? Now, you and I have been taught for so long that to be blessed is to be successful. To be blessed is to be financially wealthy. To be blessed is this ascension conversation. And actually, this is where Jesus turns this upside down in the Beatitudes, where he says, blessed are those who are poor in spirit, or at the end of their rope, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And blessed are those who mourn, and blessed are the meek. And blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. And blessed are those who are persecuted. Blessed are those who are merciful. Blessed are those. And it's like, what's happening right now? This is the exact opposite of what I've learned my whole life. That hashtag blessed means to get a good parking spot. That hashtag blessed means to get wealthier and wealthier. And hashtag blessed means to be successful and popular and a celebrity. And so this is, I think, an essential conversation to have, and something that we're going to do this podcast in a way that we've never done it before. And we're going to do it right side up. So I have asked some of my friends who have ascended in so many ways, and in right ways, in beautiful ways. They're smart and they're capable and they have massive platforms, but they actually want to use their platforms in this podcast to make things right side up. So instead of being the experts, they are the learners. They are the ones that are asking the questions, leaning into this right side up living of God's kingdom come. And the experts, this is where World Vision has been such an essential partner in this venture. The experts are those people who have experienced poverty of spirit, who have experienced suffering, who have experienced mourning, who have experienced meekness, who have experienced mercy and being merciful, who have experienced persecution. And these experts come from all over the globe in the front lines of kingdom work. So genocide survivors and trafficking survivors and people who are helping with the refugee crisis around the world, and people who have been, just completely harmed by their faith and because of their faith, people who are at work in the trenches of encountering the blessedness of what it means to live this kingdom life. They're the experts. And so my friends like Groeschel and Christine Caine and Bob Goff and Sam Collier and Joe Saxton and Noemi Chavez and Pete Greig and Krish Kandiah, they are all questioning, they're all learning at the feet, listening at the feet of those kingdom experts that Jesus said are the ones that really know what it means to be blessed. And I cannot wait for my own self to learn, for a posture shift in my own life, to stop clamoring and grasping after some kind of ascension, but to descend and to let myself move more and more into the blessedness of a kingdom life. And that's what Jesus is inviting all of us to do. So that's what I'm so excited about. Not only am I excited to learn from the content and the lives, the experience and hope of the people that are going to be part of the experts of this podcast, but I'm also excited to invite you to encounter moving towards, to encounter what it might mean to move into a blessed life. And this is through the Matthew 25 challenge. Now, I love encounters because I think it's the highest form of learning, to immerse yourself, to actually participate in. And, they say that there are, there's downloading, there's lecturing, there's different ways of listening that are powerful. I talk about this in Better Together, my latest book, but basically there's downloading information there, which, we're doing a lot of these days. There's debating information, so critiquing and back and forth, even if it's in your own mind, that's another form of listening. There is dialoguing, which is a conversation, which we're going to be doing all of these things during this podcast. But the highest form of listening, this is Adam Kahani, who's a social expert. The highest form of learning is a thing called presencing, which is putting yourself in the shoes of somebody else, is putting yourself in their place. So you're no longer critiquing, you're no longer dialoguing, you're no longer debating, but now you are actually presencing, you're being with that person. And so what I want you to do, I want all the forms of listening to happen, and they're going to happen for me. I'm going to be listening, I'm going to be downloading this information, I'm going to be debating it, I'm going to be dialoguing about it. But what I want to move us all towards, even in my own life, is a presencing posture. One of the ways we're going to do this is through the Matthew 25 challenge. So I'm going to invite you, if you're listening, to sign up to the Matthew 25 challenge because this is going to be 1 week in November at the end of this podcast where we actually take 1 week as families, as friends, even just as our own discipleship journey, where we take 1 week of encounter, of presencing, of what would it be to be like, to be in the shoes of some of the most vulnerable, blessed people on the earth. And I cannot wait for this. My family's going to do it, and I'm inviting your family to join me. And no matter what your family looks like, your kingdom family, join in on this challenge. It's totally free, and it's an invitation to encounter. So for example, you're going to get texts every day of a challenge, just for 1 week, of a challenge that you can do to enter into a presencing posture, to encounter a little bit more of the blessed life that is this right side up kingdom or upside down world. And it might be, tonight we're going to sleep on the floor instead of in our beds. And we're going to have a conversation the next day about how many people in the world don't have beds and what it was like to sleep on the floor and what that might mean in terms of us understanding the implications of that in other people's lives. I mean, my mind is already blown just at this idea. And I am so honored on so many ways that my friends would join me. I can't tell you how honored I am that, all of the guests that I named that are going to be questioners and learners on this podcast have lent their endorsement and reputations and platforms to be part of this experiment. And I cannot even begin to tell you how absolutely humbled I am to hear from our kingdom experts from all around the world who are they're spending themselves on behalf of God's kingdom come and have survived, and not only survived, but have thrived because of God's promises and God's kingdom and their encounters with the living God. So I cannot wait for you to hear this stuff, to learn these things. I can't wait for our whole world all the time to be more right side up. And just to invert the values of the world on its head and have the values of the kingdom be the ones that we live. So how are you going to journey with us? We want you to experience this podcast for yourself. We want you to share it if you think it's helpful to you, and it might be helpful to some other people, to get the word out. We want you to become a learner, a questioner instead of an expert, and just keep leaning into asking God how this might impact your own life. We want you to sign up for the Matthew 25 challenge at the end of this podcast so that we're not just listening to more and more words, but not actually applying the knowledge, applying that listening to our everyday lives. We want you to encounter, and journey with us. And there's going to be lots of ways to do that along the way, and I'm going to tell you. But if you want to, even right now, set your intention to not just listen on one level, but listen on all the levels and move yourself into the presencing posture that might change and shift some things for you and I invite you to the Matthew 25 challenge to sign up now. So if you're in America and you're listening to this podcast, you text blessed to 44888. If you're in America, you just text blessed to 44888. If you're in Canada and you're listening to this, please text blessed to 986 98669. Just text blessed. If you're a global listener and you want to join this journey, we'd be thrilled to have you. I mean, actually, we need you. And more than ever before, I'm convinced that the church, its greatest attribute is the global nature, that we're all in this together and we're brothers and sisters that are going to figure a way out together. And the experts in the kingdom of God don't always look like us. They look so different but they have had experience and they have had success and they have had kingdom breakthrough in ways that we need to learn. So if you're listening from around the world, we want you to join us by emailing or visiting worldvision.org/right-side-up, worldvision.org/right-side-up. And by signing up, of course, you get early access to these episodes and any other deals and info and insight and maybe even extended interviews, stuff like that we're going to send your way. So please sign up and join us. Also, if you are loving this like me, share it, rate it, comment on the podcast, wherever you find your podcasts. This is going to be on YouTube and iTunes and Spotify and all the platforms. So please participate with us. Leave your comments. I would love to actually read those and then bring those into the next episode. I can't wait for this conversation to happen. And I really feel like God wants to transform our lives, but not just by ourselves, like not just in some sovereign move by ourselves, but together. I feel like the global church is now the answer. It's the hope for the world. It's always been the hope for the world. But there's something about us coming together and learning and listening to each other in a new way that's going to unlock some things. I really believe this. There's transformation at the heart of this as we lean into the manifesto, the teachings of Jesus at such a time. If you're listening to this after November, please still go to worldvision.org/right-side-up and you can still journey with us and we will keep you posted on ways that you can keep doing that. Guys, I am so excited. And at every episode, I'm going to introduce who the questioner is and who the expert is and why we've chosen them and why that matters. And then we're going to listen to their conversation. And then I'm going to share some of the takeaways from me, what I'm learning in terms of kingdom learning, or maybe even sometimes what I'm unlearning, and ask you maybe to share something as well as we journey together in a new encounter through this podcast. So, man, I cannot wait to get started. I cannot wait for you to hear these interviews. Cannot wait for you to see a posture shift in the people that I've asked to be part of this project. And even as we do this together, to feel God's kingdom come near. So this is what we're after. This is the right side up. I am so pumped. And I am honored and thrilled that you're going to journey with us as well. May God's kingdom come. May his will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And let's see that happen, huh? Let's see the right side up of God's kingdom come now. I've never been hungrier or thirstier for this, and I really am praying that this podcast might help all of us just lean a little closer to centralizing Jesus' message as a way we want to live. God bless you as you listen. Thanks for tuning in. This is Danielle Strickland and World Vision and Right Side